Namaste, good evening, and welcome to the Festival of Bharat and Citti Media. I'm your host, Citti. Today, we are joined by a very special guest who is a very well known figure on our platform. He's spoken many times before, and he's coming out with a new book again titled The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh, How Yogi Adityanath Changed UP Wala Bhaiya from being an abuse to a badge of honor. Shantanu ji, thank you so much for joining us. Namaste, and it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Namaste, Charan. Thank you for having me. And one of my viral videos, the initial viral videos on Yogi Adityanath was recorded on your platform. That was live. Those were the days when you used to shoot live. Right. So yeah, thank you for Festival of Bharat platform.
Like Uttar Pradesh, even we are trying to transform slowly.
Exactly.
And that is what the context of the book is, because the last time you wrote a book, it was completely different because Yogi ji had just taken over the administration, and also he was being dubbed as militant monk and whatnot. And today, that saintly qualities of his is being taken in stride, is being acknowledged by the entirety of India. Now, of course, there are a lot of nuances to the debates on development, especially because Uttar Pradesh is such an important state and the elections are coming up. So it is also a very timely release, this book, I must say. And it does capture a lot of data in terms of what has actually happened, what the people of Uttar Pradesh want. So I have taken a little effort into dissecting the contents of your book so that we can hear from you about your own perspective of what Uttar Pradesh is going through. So, Shantanu, the first thing I want to ask you is, from all over India, the perception of Uttar Pradesh was notoriously alongside Bihar was known for its jungle Raj. And as far as law and order is concerned, do you see a massive transformation? Because even with a strong hand being given over to the police, people also have a problem with that. You're being too strong with law and order.
Yeah, I think thank you first of all for having me. As you rightly said, this was my first book, which I wrote around 4.5 years back, The Monk Who Became Chief Minister. And it was largely around the life of Yogi Adityanath. He being the Mahant, he being the member of parliament, and his life before taking sannyas. This book, the current book, and there's the cover, and there's the book, The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh. This takes off exactly after this book, right? What exactly happened in the last 4.5 years and why I call it a transformation. And very fortunately, you asked a very pertinent question, because that is the base of the transformation, is the law and order, right? See, Uttar Pradesh was characterized before 2017 by Gunda Raj, by Jungle Raj, right? It was in fact a Bahubali Karan of politics.
Right.
What Mulayam Singh Yadav did in Uttar Pradesh, similar thing Lalu Prasad Yadav did in Bihar.
Right.
So the people who should be behind the bars were in assemblies or parliament, right? So they kind of institutionalized Gunda Raj. Right. And in fact, that was the first kind of concern or a challenge for Yogi Adityanath when I met him for the first book, right? And how can I change this image of Uttar Pradesh, which is considered a lawless state, which only inspires the Gunda type movies of Bollywood? That was the only inspiration UP was giving, right? And that was heartening. Like, he used to feel sad about it, and that was his connection with UP. So he did 2 or 3 important things. A lot of things happened. First, there are 75 districts in Uttar Pradesh. He asked who were the listed criminals of this listed organized mafia of these districts, right? Who had FIRs but never arrested because they have political patronage, who ran from courtrooms, who ran from jails, or who were never even FIR'd because they have so much patronage in the system, political system before 2017, that they weren't even ever FIR'd. So all these people were listed, and then police teams were sent after him. Whenever they were able to arrest the person, they arrested. Whenever there was a resistance, there was fight, there was encounters, there were fights, some got wounded, some got injured, some reached where they should have been. All of that happened, right? And you only hear some popular names like Mukhtar Ansari, like Atiq Ahmed, like Vikas Dubey, right? There are multiple people who changed their addresses. So who were living in their bungalows. So their bungalows are bulldozed now because they were built on illegal lands, and their addresses changed. All of these people whose names are saying their addresses now in different jails of UP and outside UP also. So that's one massive change. And how you identify these people who are almost de facto running those districts. They're running the brick business there, the construction business there, the balu business there. Even if you get a e-tender and you're building a big construction project there, you have to get balu from there. You have to sell your scrap to there. That kind of string they used to hold. That's one. Second thing, from last almost 1.5 decade, UP was running with half of its police strength.
Right.
So UP's allocated police strength is 3 lakh police fellows, right? UP was running with only 1.5 lakh police fellows. And you can imagine what does that mean, right? Because khaki vardi itself, in UP mein we say khaki vardi ka iqbal hota hai, right? If a khaki is standing, the petty crime at least will not happen on the road in front of when khaki is standing, right? And UP was working with half of the police force. And why? Because earlier recruitment was happening based on a caste, based on a religion, based on forced examinations, and that got corrected. So 1.5 lakh police force got recruited in a very fair fashion, and they got trained, and they all are on field. So a double police force, you can imagine, right? And then multiple. So there are woman Shakti, how their women can come and put their FIR. There are women police female in all the police station. There were glass doors so that they can be heard properly. There are woman Shakti drives that were run. Their commissionerate system in someone like a Greater Noida, Gautam Budh Nagar, Lucknow, Banaras, Kanpur, in bigger districts. So multiple efforts on just on law and order, right? And the effect is now we have a very, so when 2020 NCRB data comes in 2021, the headline is, it is in last 7 years is the lowest crime figure in Uttar Pradesh. Right. And that reflected into multiple things, right? And number one, I keep saying, even if you don't believe NCRB data, you know, what should I believe? You should believe how money is following. Money will never come to a place which has a problem in law and order. Correct. So when in the first investment summit, UP got investment proposals of 5 lakh crore, which is equal to their annual budget. People got to know now it's a safer UP. My money is safe here, my employees safe here. So the first direct benefit, it's an ease of living. People are now nicely living their place. Girls are roaming late in the evening. It's a far more safer place. And the one major byproduct is that now investment is coming in UP. And a UP ka bhaiya is no more abused now. UP ka bhaiya, in fact, is a sense of honor now when you go outside of UP.
It's so much safer that even people who are in the opposite camps of the BJP and Yogi Adityanath are saying that Mukhtar Ansari also deserves some amount of human rights, you know. And that was the debate a few weeks ago. And what you said makes it has a lot of imperatives, especially in terms of UP's contribution to India's economy, because that is very, very important for India to realize its bigger economic prowess and economic ambitions. And the talks about this has consolidated and somehow reflected in the policies of Uttar Pradesh. So let me ask you a question that combines 3 factors into this massive economic push. One is, how do you see the infrastructure transformation? And also there is a massive issue of unemployment as an electoral agenda, not just in this election, but also in 2019 Lok Sabha election. This, and in terms of investment and attraction of businesses to Uttar Pradesh, how do you think the state has done?
Yeah, in fact, if you see, all of these things are combined. So when Yogi Adityanath became the chief minister, he took the oath of office in 2017. By the time he's already a 5 terms MP. He have roamed almost in every state of India. He have seen industrialized states like Tamil Nadu, like Gujarat, like Maharashtra. He, as a parliamentarian, he has been to a couple of countries outside as government committees. So he has realized that to bring prosperity, right, you have to have businesses. Government can provide jobs. We all know, right? Government only provides 2 to 3% of all jobs available, right? It's the private sector that has to create prosperity. And private sector will not come if the environment is unsafe, if your money is unsafe, if your employee is unsafe. So for number one is law and order, which we already discussed. Number two, what all you need to run an enterprise? You need electricity, right? And electricity, it used to come based on which district are you from. So if Mulayam Singh Yadav is the chief minister, Akhilesh Yadav is the chief minister, 5-6 districts where they have their political power, they will get like 20 plus hours of electricity.
Right.
If Mayawati is chief minister, the districts will change. So they will not manage that. How will generate more electricity? How will we buy more electricity? They will just say how to distribute and how to cut and where not to cut, where to cut. Right. And this was I think the problem Yogi took head on, right? And by the time, we should give credit to Piyush Goyalji. Piyush Goyalji, if you remember, was the power minister in his first Modi 1 government, right? And he made engaging with power exchange very easy. That how you can buy and sell power, right? In fact, he made an app. His team made an app where you can find out that which state is offering power, which state is buying power, right? And you can't claim a foul that, oh, power is not available. And he in fact exposed Akhilesh Yadav in 2014 to 17, when there was no double engine ki sarkar, when center was Modi and state was Akhilesh, right? And Akhilesh used to say, no, we don't have power available, right? And Piyush Goyalji exposed him, the power is available, you're not buying it. That's a different thing. And why you're not buying it? Because you don't have money.
There's no money, right?
If there's no money. And why there's no money? Because to be popular, you're not charging anyone. Half of the bijli is free. So what Yogi did, a couple of things. He said, "Sabko bijli, nirbad bijli." Like bijli, electricity to everyone, and it'll be uninterrupted bijli and paryapt bijli. And you will be surprised that the peak electricity that had been transmitted in Akhilesh's at the time is 16,000 megawatt. The peak electricity that is being transmitted in Yogi Adityanath's time is 24,000 megawatt. It's an increase of almost 8,000 megawatt. That's almost a power supply for a small state, right? And average village is getting almost 6 to 7 hours of more of electricity. Average urban town is getting 3 to 4 hours of more electricity. Can you imagine 8 hours of more electricity? What it means to the economy? If you have more smaller businesses will come, you will buy more appliances, right? So electricity is like almost the base of any industrial activity, right? So that's one. Second, he realized for any big manufacturing hub, you have to have good roads. And I'm sure no one is away from that how expressways are coming in UP. Purvanchal Expressway, Ganga Expressway, Gorakhpur Link Expressway, Bundelkhand Expressway. Oh my God. UP is becoming, and what Prime Minister said? That UP is becoming Express Pradesh under Yogi Adityanath, right? That's like a statement, right? So that's one. Third thing is the airports, right? Because a lot of these people have to have quick travel, right? So earlier UP had only 25 flights from different airports, right? Now UP has more than 70 flights from different airports, different routes. Earlier only 2 international airports. Now 3 active, 2 Ayodhya and Jewar are already started, right? So massive infrastructure push. Anyone who understands infrastructure, they will realize that what could have been done in 10, 15 years is being done in this 4.5 years. And mind you, we have wasted or kind of almost 1.5 years in Corona. In spite of that, all of this. So expressways, electricity, airports. So this is on the big business side. On the smaller business side, there is some very innovative scheme called ODOP, one district, one product. So Yogi Adityanath's team identified one product from every district, like Aligarh ke tale, like Firozabad ki chuniya, like Banaras ki sadiyan, like Badawi ke kaleen, right? And made sure they'll become like an economic zone in itself. They get training, right? They get finance, they get money to participate in exhibitions in bigger towns, or it's an outside country, right? That created huge jobs and huge revenue. And the outcome of all of this is that UP's GDP, which was 6th or 7th in Akhilesh's time when he left the office, it became 2nd, right? Like it's a huge jump. UP's ease of business, which was 12th in Akhilesh's time, has become 2nd in Yogi Adityanath's time, number 2, right? And this is the parameter that the UP never even measured, like ease of doing business. No. This is for Gujarat, this is for Maharashtra, this is for Tamil Nadu, this is for Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. How can UP compete in ease of doing business? We are doing only ease of doing gundagardi, right? So like people in UP were surprised, like, okay, in these parameters can also we come up, right? GDP number 2, ease of doing number 2. Okay. And per capita income of people in general, which was almost 44,000, 45,000 Akhlesh's at the time, jumped to 95,000 in Yogi Adityanath's time just in a matter of 4 years. Right. Unemployment, as per CMIE data, was 17.5% in UP in Akhlesh's time when he left the office. It has become 4.1% in Yogi's time. Right. So massive change from electricity to infrastructure led to investment, and that led to robust law and order, and that led to these parameters of GDP, of employment, and of ease of doing business.
Right. In fact, even when we were in school in social studies and civics, we used to be taught this term called Bimaru states, where Uttar Pradesh was featured in it. And it's actually positive to see that they're competing in several indices. And that is probably a start point. And going forward, the next 5 years are a lot of transformation, which we are yet to see. But do you think one of the aspects of Yogi Ji's chief ministership, which has been debated even in international media for that matter, is the fact that he's a monk? And now you've written several articles about this in the past, and you've written about this in your previous book as well. You say that this adds to a special quality that perhaps the normal civilian chief minister cannot perhaps achieve.
Yeah. See, whenever you ask the man, right, Yogi Ji, that, okay, like, you are a saint, why are you enjoying politics? That's how media ask the question. Why are you, मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगा इसको, आप राजनीति का आनंद क्यों ले रहे हैं, राजनीति को भोग क्यों रहे हैं, right? And his answer is very straightforward. He says, as an MP, as the Mahant of the Mutt, I used to serve the people of my constituency, people of the eastern Uttar Pradesh. Now I have a bigger lever to help people of Uttar Pradesh. Politics or chief ministership gives me a bigger canvas to help the people of Uttar Pradesh. Right? So for me, politics or chief ministership is just a way to how can I help people, right? And that's his lifestyle is. He gets up at 4, he goes till 11:30, 12 o'clock, and his only work is social work, political work, government work. There's no other chutti, there's no holiday. His only holiday in some big puja days, he goes back to Gorakhpur, does his pujas, and there also he carries his files, his work continues, right? But you asked a very interesting question, what the saintly qualities add to the governance, right? I'll give you 2-3 examples. So the first file, and I documented that in my new book in the first chapter, the first file that came to him, Sharan, was to buy a new car for him, right? That, okay, a new luxury car will be bought and we need a signature, it will be bought for you.
Right.
Why? He said, because when Mayawati ji came as a chief minister, she got us buy Land Cruiser for her, and that costed 1 crore, and the bulletproofing, etc. So, okay, that was the trend. And when Akhilesh Yadav came, he made us buy 2 Mercedes cars, Mercedes SUVs, and the bulletproofing and all, it costed 7 crores to the exchequer. And that's the trend, that every chief minister starts his office with a new luxury car for himself, right? Or his entourage, right? In the name of safety, right? He said, what happened to the old cars? Because these are robust cars. Their life is like 15, 20 years. He said, they are there, they're lying. He said, I will use the same cars. Right? I don't want to spend this 7-10 crores of public exchequer. He said, but can you make a small change? He said, yes, it will cost maybe 200 rupees. He said, what? He said, change the cover of my seat to saffron color. That will remind me of my tyag. That will remind me of that this seat is only for me to serve the people, not for me to enjoy. And now you can imagine, this is only a saint can bring this, right? That only, okay, can you spend 200 rupees on the car and change the seat cover to saffron so that it will remind me of the feeling of tyag every moment, that this seat is given to me to serve the people, not to enjoy this seat, right? That's example number 1. I'll tell you one more example. Akhilesh Yadav in 2016, I think maybe he sensed that he will never become the chief minister again. Because you know what he did? He passed a law in the assembly that every chief minister will get a house for lifetime in Lucknow. Right? As if he will never become the chief minister again. He was doing almost like lifetime planning for himself, right? His superannuation planning, right? And fortunately, Supreme Court quashed that in 2018, right? And Yogi ji said, yeah, like, why we need for that position, we were fine. We should get a house while we are the chief minister.
You're serving.
While you're serving. And Supreme Court also said the same. And then every chief minister also has to vacate the house. All of them, the previous one like Rajnath ji, they gracefully left the house. But what Akhilesh Yadav did was really, really dirty. Like it seems he made a swimming pool he destroyed that, he took the taps out. A lot of people call him Toti Chor, but rightly so. So people say he put his own expensive like bathroom fitting. I'm saying, what? Leave them, or maybe replace it with some low quality ones at least, right? Like he destroyed the whole house, has left, as if like in a grudge. Oh, you made me leave the house and I'll show you now, right? Like as if it's like a 5-year-old boy whose toys is snatched, right? So I think you can imagine. Now I'm contradicting like how a saint behave and how someone who just want to latch on to this, what do you say, satta, right? I'll give you one more example. VP Singh, who also became our prime minister, he was also the chief minister of UP, right? When he was the chief minister of UP, a very bizarre law he passed, right? That chief minister and ministers of UP will not pay income tax. Their income tax will be paid by the government, right? Whatever the income tax, right? Yeah. So they will, because the MLAs are poor, right? They're not, maybe that time that was but that's not the flavor today, right? Mayawati ji files almost 100 crores of income in her papers, in legitimate papers, right? Akhilesh Yadav and wife files almost 30-40 crores of legitimate income in their election papers, right? They never thought about it. When Yogi realized it, and Yogi ji went through every budget headers, right? What are we paying in last 5 years, right? And he said, why are we paying ministers income tax? Like they are able enough. When even a poorest of the poor can pay income tax, why can't government? Why can't me, chief minister, and my ministers can pay? And he removed that law, which was carrying from last 40 years. He just removed that one strike, right? So a lot of this discipline, right? That you have to come to office at 9 o'clock. First call from Akhilesh Yadav time used to go to officers at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, right? And now the first call comes to officer at 7:38, right? So the whole culture of Uttar Pradesh has changed, right? Earlier, Sharan, the cabinet road, you know how the cabinet meeting used to work? Akhilesh Yadav used to sign the cabinet road and he used to go to house of every cabinet minister to get signed. Now, every cabinet meeting happens during Corona also, it happened in Zoom, and all debate, counter debate happens, and then only cabinet notes are signed, right? So the whole culture of UPA changed, and this is what saint have added to it. What is the saint has added to it? So yeah, there are multiple examples. I just shared you few of them. My book is filled with such example. A saintly quality which he bring himself, he being a saint brings to the governance of Uttar Pradesh.
Very interesting. And since we were also talking about COVID, because that took away nearly 2 years of what could have been possibly done in Uttar Pradesh, I have to ask you this because at least this has been a bone of contention in the media, and it's become a political agenda of sorts.
Yeah.
Yogi ji is being criticized for his handling of the second wave. And clearly, I mean, I don't have to put these forward because the Western press has already done so. What is your take? I mean, has there been any limitations that you positively acknowledge ki yahan pe aur behtar kar sakte the? Or do you think it has been well enough that it won't affect the upcoming elections?
See, elections, what will happen, I think people will decide. We have all seen that COVID virus has taken the world by surprise. Even the best of infrastructures, global infrastructures crumbled, right? American health infrastructures crumbled. UK, British medical infrastructure, France, Spain, they all crumbled, right? In fact, in a lot of Western countries, the old were asked to wait, or if I can use the word, die at home while they're treating their young, right? That was the case of Western Europe, which take pride in their health systems, right? Now comes to UP. Yogi Adityanath inherited a very dilapidated health system, very corrupt health system, and then came Corona, right? A lot of the practices that other states started following later, UP started it, right? How you have to do specialized quarantine zones, how you start manufacturing your PPE kit, how you start manufacturing your gloves, how you start manufacturing your mask, how you start large-scale manufacturing of sanitizers, right? All of them. How Corona testing can be done. The first sample from UP went from Pune. UP did not have a lab. Then within some time, UP get 75, then almost 300 labs, right? How treatment, how beds, all of them happened in first wave. And how the people who are pushed out, I'm using the word carefully, pushed out, kicked out by Delhi government, pushed out, kicked out by Maharashtra government, lot of labor from UP, how to take them back gracefully. And work with the double engine ki sarkar, work with the central government to run the trains, work with UPS, SRTC to run number of buses so that they can go nicely to their places. And then in villages also creating a very smartly quarantine zones before entering in the village, right? All of them happened. And the skill mapping of these laborers who are coming back and then putting them in different kind of jobs or construction or otherwise which are happening in the state. So that's how they manage the first wave. Now comes the second wave, where the biggest problem was the Delta virus, which we later identified was very infectious, right? Infections rate was very high, and the people who were going to the stage of that they need an external oxygen supply, the number was very high, right? Which was not anticipated by best of the experts in the world, right? And Government of India also, in the words of Dr. Devi Shetty, moved heaven and earth. He said, right? If he used the word, the Government of India used moved heaven and earth to move oxygen. Our country's requirement of 900 units of oxygen to 9,000 units of oxygen, right? Similarly, Uttar Pradesh was the first one to use all the routes: the air route, the rail route, the road route. They put the GPS in every tanker. They repurposed a lot of tankers to have almost 90 tankers. Earlier, they were only 30, and make sure from eastern parts of India, from nearby places from UP, how they get the oxygen back in the state. They made sure the testing will never stop. One thing the WHO also praised them, they created a huge army of almost 1.5 to 2 lakh health workers and sent them to every village, almost every rural household, almost crores and crores of them. So they touched within a matter of, in the second wave, within a matter of 15 to 20 days, they touched almost 14 to 15 crore rural population and almost 3 to 4 crores urban population, right? And made sure that the so the questionnaire was like this. First they will ask the symptom. If they think that people are narrating some symptom, they do a rapid test, and if the rapid test comes positive, they will quarantine and give the medical kit and treat. If the test come negative, they will tell them about COVID appropriate behavior. So everyone got touched by the government. That also give you assurance that okay, there is someone, right? And you know, April, right? May, the wave came, and May, the all the modulations that was done, all the predictions that were done, that UP will get almost 1 lakh cases a day, and by the end of May, it have almost 25 to 30 lakhs active cases. That was the prediction. And by the massive work of Yogi's team, the cases at the end of May were only 30,000. Right. That was and that's why from WHO to Niti Aayog to IIT Kanpur, they all praised Yogi Adityanath's work. In fact, IIT Kanpur released a detailed report that how Yogi Adityanath used the model Jeevan Bhi or Jivika Bhi, that we will save Jeevan also, life also, and livelihoods also, right? Make sure the livelihoods are also open with COVID protocol. In fact, to top it all, I think the name is Craig Kelly, the Australian MP, tweeted that can we loan Yogi Adityanath to manage COVID in my own country, in Australia? Right? That was how his management. But again, media somehow the kind of starters of the second wave, which were Maharashtra and Kerala, media took their cameras off Kerala, off Maharashtra, off Delhi, which was highly mismanaged oxygen, put their all cameras to Uttar Pradesh. I was like, oh my God, the saffron-clad Yogi creates a lot of news. That gives us a lot of spice. That gives us a lot of TRP. Let's keep reporting only Uttar Pradesh. Let's put our eyes closed when the cases are coming from Maharashtra, when cases are coming from Kerala, and when oxygen is mismanaged by.
In fact, I think the model is also same when it comes to education, because from what I've been hearing, just to make sure that the parameters are seen very well and reflected very well, the Delhi government is sort of pushing the low performing school students to Western Uttar Pradesh as well.
Exactly.
Right. Let's also break some of the stereotypes that are constructed in the media. And of course, we can also be critical of certain aspects because the administration cannot be 100% right about everything. In that sense, if we look at Uttar Pradesh's education, the literacy rate was also largely affected starting from the time of independence. Now, especially in the last 5 years, do you see a transformation in terms of that? Because Uttar Pradesh and Bihar were notoriously known for the infamous cheating scandals.
So I'll tell you two aspects. One is all on the 10th and 12th exams, all the various Bharti exams, right? Uttar Pradesh, as you rightly said, was known for cheating. So much so that Kalyan Singh, when he was a chief minister, earlier chief minister of BJP, has to bring a law against cheating. And when Mulayam Singh Yadav came, this is the first law he cancelled. He said, "Na cheating to kar sakte hain," right? And similar Akhilesh Yadav followed. You will not imagine, and I'll send you bite later. Akhilesh Yadav on multiple platforms, not once or twice, multiple platforms, he's speaking from the stage कि थोड़ी बहुत cheating तो चलती है. एग्जाम पास करने के लिए कौन चीटिंग नहीं करता है? दिस इज अखिलेश यादव सेइंग.
ये तो उन्होंने गैंग रेप्स के बारे में भी कहा ना कि
राइट या लड़के मुलायम सिंह से लड़के हैं गलती हो जाती है. दिस वर द फिलॉसफी ऑफ समाजवादी पार्टी गवर्नमेंट. लड़के हैं गलती हो जाती है, थोड़ी बहुत चीटिंग तो सब कर सकते हैं, ये तो बीजेपी की वैक्सीन है. शिवपाल सिंह यादव यूज्ड टू से इन द ऑफिसर्स एंड रिकॉर्डेड मीटिंग कि थोड़ी बहुत घपला कर लो, थोड़ी बहुत रिश्वत ले सकते हैं अगर मेहनत से काम करोगे तो. राइट. बट दीस वर देयर एथोस ऑफ वर्किंग. So when the Yogi Adityanath inherited the state, it has the ethos that थोड़ी बहुत cheating जायज है. कौन एग्जाम पास करने के लिए चीटिंग नहीं करता. And then that one of the deputy chief minister, he has put him on the task, right? Dinesh Sharma ji, right? And then I remember a detailed conversation with Dinesh ji. He explained me that how there were 4 established methods of cheating. There was a whole cheating mafia used to run, right? First was a solver method, and you'll be surprised to hear that we are discussing this. What are the methods of cheating? What is the solver method? So Sharan is a brilliant guy. Shantanu doesn't know much, so Shantanu will hire Sharan, and instead of Shantanu, Sharan will go and write the exam, right? And he'll carry a fake ID card of Shantanu, and Sharan will be given some 4-5 lakh rupees to solve the paper for me. That's a solver method. So now Narendra Modi ji has given a very beautiful thing, Aadhaar card. Right. So now we use Aadhaar card extensively, so only the right person can go and give the exam. So that's how the solver method. And wherever there's a solver being caught, he's sent to jail. Second method was mass cheating. Mass cheating means the invigilator himself, the examiner himself is narrating the answer in sections, right? And that's how the examination centers were allocated only after couple of norms. If you have a pakka boundary wall, if you don't have residents inside the school wall, if you have a CCTV camera in every classroom, right, then only the classrooms were or the schools were given as examination center, and every classroom was monitored from a centralized controlled CCTV monitoring room, right? And wherever there is an iota of doubt, the examination center was cancelled. This was the second method. Third method, and that was very hard. You'll find it very tricky. Third method was that they will swap the answer sheets, some last pages from the meritorious students to the not so meritorious students, right? And the meritorious student will get less marks. Poor guy. He has written nicely. He has worked hard, right? And his pages will be torn off and will be stuck to the non-meritorious student who has given money to this cheating mafias, right? And now every book and every notebook is barcoded. You can't change this hanky-panky. Okay. Right. And the last method was paper leaking. Right. Paper leaking. Now every vehicle which is carrying the paper is with GPS. Whenever there's a change of route, it's tracked. But still, this is the last thing which is still not solved. Right. So if there are 500 exams happening in UP, 10 are still getting leaked. Still recently one got. But earlier, in an earlier government, such an exam where a paper is leaked would have happened easily, and the people who cheated would have passed. Now all such papers are stopped. So that's an inconvenience.
Sorry, state of affairs when you have to put GPS on, vans carrying exam sheets.
Yeah, exactly. And now, in fact, I'm hearing they may move to a even advanced technology which CBSE is using in a couple of their exams, that they will release the pen drive of the examination paper 1 hour before from the examination center, and there'll be a printer at the center. The paper will be printed at the center, right? So this is a lot of expense, right? But I think they're planning to move to that, because this is one thing which are not they're not able to solve still. They're largely 90%, 95% they're able to solve, but even 5%. Yogi Adityanath normal says, I want 0 error in my system. So this is the education. In the primary education, Sharan, two massive changes. One is Mission Kayakalp, in which all the infrastructure of schools being changed. 22 parameters are taken. school boundary, classroom, toilets, wall painting, electricity, water supply. So all these are achieved, right? And the second, mission prerna. First time in such massive scale, somebody is leading a project which is leading to learning outcomes. Because all governments were talking about infrastructure. Oh, we'll make good schools and learning will happen. There's the first time some government is talking about learning outcomes. There are learning targets given to teachers. They are make sure that every child achieve this learning targets, and once they declare it, the whole block will be tested by a third party. And if they achieve the 80% passing grade, they'll call Prerna block, Prerna district, Prerna state, right?
Okay.
And a very senior officer who is now the DM of Gorakhpur, Vijay Kiran Anand, led this project, right? So Mission Prerna, Mission Kayakalp, and stopping the cheating. These are three massive changes that UP education system and so on.
That's a very interesting way of incentivizing students and institutions that are performing rather honestly and rather well. And it's admirable that the administration has its grit, that it's not losing its hope about changing the education system, because I think this is somehow central to Uttar Pradesh's future as well.
And one thing, Sharan, when a UP wala used to go outside, right, he was branded as ye to cheating karke aaya hai.
Yeah.
Every UP CV will be shown in the dustbin, so that even the one who passed through not through cheating, who through hard work, right, they used to get this tag that ye to cheating karke aaya hai. So this has diminished the brand of Uttar Pradesh, and that's why the UP wala bhaiya means someone who comes from a lawless state, someone who's from a cheating mafia state. Oh, he's only what to do a labor work, right? So that has harmed the image of UP during Akhilesh Yadav's time and Mulayam Singh Yadav's time.
Right.
That is also a big problem, and that's why my subtitle is that how Yogi Adityanath changed the UP wala bhaiya image to a badge of honor.
And to a certain degree, the culture that has been imbibed in institutions, organizations, and individuals has also somehow reflected on the overall development of the state, not just in terms of its education and infrastructure, but also about cultural heritage, which the BJP seems to represent. Whether it is with the construction of Bhavya Shri Ram Mandir, or now the inauguration of Kashi Vishwanath corridor. How do you actually see some sort of a revival of an Indic Renaissance?
I think first of all, yes, I almost see, and that's my 9th chapter also, that how Uttar Pradesh has seen a cultural renaissance under Yogi Adityanath. And people saw the first testimony to it in Kumbh 2019. Prayakum 2019 happened, and the title was Bhavya Kumbh, Divya Kumbh, and it was I think the best Kumbh ever happened in India, right? How clean it was, how managed it was for the Shraddhalus, for the tourists, how there are different pandals which were just doing education about the Indian history, how sadhus were managed, how international people came, how NRI Divas also happened during Kashi time, in Kashi, during those times, they all traveled to Kumbh there. So that was the crores and crores of people saw that there is a spirit of Yogi Adityanath in everything that happened during the Kumbh time, right? And that was the first testimony. And in fact, to tease Hindus, in Akhilesh Yadav time when the Kumbh happened, who was the Prabhari? You can't even guess it. Azam Khan was made the Prabhari for Kumbh. Can you imagine that? Like, why will someone make Azam Khan a Prabhari, a coordinator for Kumbh, right? Just to tease Hindus, right? And that was their trick, right? So I think that was the first testimony that people saw. And then we saw Narendra Modi ji and Yogi ji doing the Bhumi Pujan for Ayodhya. I think I felt goosebumps when that was happening that day. And to my understanding, it was almost like a divine sequence, right? Narendra Modi ji was the one who managed the Ram Bhumi Rath Yatra for Lal Krishna Advani ji, right? And Yogi Adityanath's guru was the head of all the Ram Mandir committees, Mahant Avednath, right? So it's almost looking like as if divinity was waiting for a Narendra Modi and a Yogi Adityanath to be the helm of UP and India for this to happen, right? And we are seeing, and not only the verdict, even before verdict, Yogi Adityanath did multiple things for making Ayodhya ready for Ram temple. He declared the whole Faizabad district as Ayodhya. He declared Ayodhya as a municipal corporation. Being a municipal corporation, you get more funds from state, more from some center. He made sure all the hanging wires in the whole city, go underground. He cleared the sewage system, the ghats there. He started Deepotsav, right, which is a massive international festival. He created Guinness Book of World Record. Ayodhya, which was just known for Ayodhya court cases, now is known for Deepotsav. Earlier, if you search for someone like a Make My Trip or Oyo, there's only 1 or 2 hotels. Now almost 15-20 hotels upgraded themselves to for tourists, right? So a lot of money, when tourists come, a lot of money also comes, right? Because of government lighting those 5 lakh, 10 lakh diyas, a lot of local artisans are getting work. So a lot of business. So already, even before the temple, there's a lot of prosperity. In fact, the day, Sharan, when the temple came, somebody tweeted, right, oh, so now this temple thing is over. Can we talk economy? Right? Kind of satire on the Ram Mandir thing. Right. And I replied, and that tweet got viral, that, you know, in India, there are 200 plus towns which are run on temple economy. Right. Tirupati is a 3,000 crore rupees economy. Ganesh Visarjan just in Mumbai is a 500 crore rupees economy. Kavar Yatra, which liberals hate, that's a 200 crore rupees economy. And the Kavars are made by Muslims of Saharanpur. Right. So religious places are a huge economy in India. And Ayodhya was taken away from this economy by that fake case that's going from last 70 years by fake historians. Right. So now there's a huge economic empowerment of Ayodhya that will happen. And not only Ayodhya, Sharan, whole of eastern Uttar Pradesh. In fact, the parts of Bihar also. Right. So that's Ayodhya. And what will happen today? We are recording on 12th. On 13th of December, Narendra Modi ji is going to Ayodhya. Oh, is going to Kashi. You know why is he going for? He's going to inaugurate Kashi Corridor Project. What is the Kashi Corridor Project? So we know Kashi temple is one of the Jyotirlings, right? And the current form of temple was rejuvenated by Ahilyabai Holkar hundreds of years back. After that, nobody had touched it much. There is a Gyanvapi mosque nearby, which was, we all know, as Mughals and other Muslim rulers, invaders broke many temples and made masjid. This is also one part. The case is pending in the court. That's one. But again, the temple was not a Bhava temple, was not a grand temple. Right. So what government did, government bought all the 300, 400 houses or establishment or shops nearby, right, rehabilitated them, gave them good money, right, settled all of them, and now constructed a huge corridor which can lead to the river Ganga, right? And the other day, Bimal Patel ji and Deepak, who's the architect of this project, and Deepak Agarwal ji, who's the commissioner leading the project, they did a lovely Zoom session with many of us. And the Bimal ji was so excited to tell that once you start taking the stairs from Ganga, you will start seeing the Dhwaj. Then if you go a little bit up, you start seeing the up Gopuram. Then you start going a little up, then you will see the whole grand temple, right? So they've created like a feeling, a better experience for all the people, and how the various structures are made, how in the shops are blended in the same kind of structures. Even a police chowki is blended in the same kind of stones and structures. I'm sure you must have seen a lot of pictures floating around. Even I think one of the Narendra Modi's handle also tweeted a couple of pictures. It's just looking fabulous, Sharan. And I think the whole.
And do you think Kashi Mathura Baki Hai will become the slogan for the next election?
See,
and I ask this in a positive sense because for a very long time the BJP took a beating that ये तो सिर्फ राम मंदिर के बारे में बात करते हैं और कुछ नहीं करते.
तारीख नहीं बताएंगे. तारीख नहीं बताएंगे. See, so yeah, that was a very old chant. Ayodhya to jhanki hai, Kashi Mathura Baki hai. And for Mathura, the plea is already submitted in the court. They have accepted the court. What's his name? I forgot the name of the lawyer, Mr. Jain, who is the lawyer. And you'll realize the Mathura case is far more easier than the Ram Mandir case.
Achha, okay.
Right. That is, in fact, a fake Krishan Bhumi Jansthan Sangh has done a treaty or a compromise with the Eidgah Masjid. Right. Only that the treaty has to be annulled, which is a fake treaty, right? Which is also happened in 1968. So Places of Worship Act will also not apply, right? So I think first of all, I'm a big votary against Places of Worship Act. It's almost like if someone has taken out land, however illegally, however by muscle, you can't go against it, right? It is a Congress plan to appease. They have done a lot of laws from Sachar Committee to Shah Bano to places of worship act to appease their Muslim vote bank. This is one of it, right? So yeah, eventually, I think, will it be a slogan for this election or not? But again, for like Ram, Krishna, Shiva, these are the biggest deities of Hindu, and their own in Hindu, one of the country which has 80% Hindu population. You can't keep their deities under tents. You can't keep their land occupied, right? And not by some Muslim scholars, some terrorist invaders like Babur, like Aurangzeb, right? So if the heroes of Muslims in India are Babur and Aurangzeb, and then I have a problem, right? If their heroes are APJ Abdul Kalam, I'm also happy with. He's my hero also.
This was one of the points where even I contested, saying that, if you have a problem with renaming, it's not even renaming cities. First of all, it's
renaming, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's rather naming the cities to what their original names were, and now they're saying no, Muslims will get affected, and this is not what needs to be done. And I'm really glad that Uttar Pradesh has passed all those hard binaries, so to speak.
Yeah.
But there is one angle that I must ask you, because farmers are still the backbone of this country, and especially since the government has conceded to these farmer groups, especially with regards to the farm laws.
Yeah.
We've also seen what happened in Lakhimpur Kheri, different turn of events, but that's an entire debate altogether. Let's not get into that. As far as agriculture and agricultural reforms are concerned, as far as the farmer community is concerned, what do you think the government has done in Uttar Pradesh?
See, in fact, farmers are one of the biggest beneficiaries under double engine ki sarkar of Narendra Modi and Yogi, right? So first of all, Yogi Adityanath made sure that all the central government schemes target to farmers reach the farmers of UP, right? Versus a Mamata Banerjee, who for the longest time did not provide the bank accounts of farmers so that PM Kisan 6,000 rupees can go into the bank of farmers, because if that money will go, Narendra Modi will get popular.
Yeah.
She's not worried about the lakhs and lakhs of farmers of her state. She's worried about Narendra Modi's popularity.
Right.
And she, when she gave the data, when she won this election, and after that she gave the data. And like this cruel these chief ministers are to these people. Yogi Adityanath made sure that day one the scheme came within a couple of months. The data is being given. Crores and crores of rupees is very smoothly going in the accounts of farmers of UP. Point number two, we keep hearing MSP a lot in this farmer movement, right? One is MSP and second is buying at MSP. The how much buying is happening at MSP. I'll give you a figure. In the Rabi season in 2016-17, the last year for Akhilesh government, only 7 lakh metric ton of wheat was purchased by government in UP. And can you imagine how much wheat was purchased this year, 21? 56 lakh metric ton. Almost 8 times,
right.
From 7 to 56 lakh metric ton, right? So it's not only you should declare MSP, you should buy also an MSP, you should create centers, right? So multiple, more than 5,000 centers are created, and money to all these farmers. These are not bought from Adatiyas. Almost 12.5 lakh farmers got money in their account, thanks to the Jandan accounts, thanks to the Aadhaar card system, thanks to the Jam Trinity that Narendra Modi has created, which people used to say against about, right? Oh, Aadhaar will take your privacy away. Oh, Jandan accounts don't have money, they're extra burden, right? Now, in Corona time, we have seen how useful the Jam Trinity has become, right? So all this money is going similarly for the rice, for the paddy, that the purchase has been amazing. And all the scheme, be it irrigation scheme, be it PM insurance scheme, be it neem coated urea, be it soil health card, UP is almost number 1 and number 2 in the implementation of all of these schemes, right? Now coming to the sugar farmers, like Western UP is largely a sugar farmer belt, right? The sugar farmers, the biggest problem, sugar farmer, there's no mandi issue, right? Because they sell directly to the sugar mill owner. So there is not, they don't go to a mandi to sell their ganna, because it's not a B2C product, right? It's a B2B product. Ganna is a cash crop, right? Or they sell to the jaggery makers, right? The payments in Mayawati's time was hardly of the order of 50,000 crores. The payment in the time of Akhilesh is 80,000-90,000 crores. payment in the times of Yogi Adityanath is almost 1.5 lakh crores.
Right.
Though Yogi Adityanath government said that they will give in 15 days, they were not able to follow because they are not the one who's giving the government. They have to payment. They have to make sure the private companies give the payment.
Right.
But again, the payments are coming in almost a month or 1.5 months. We used to wait years together, and they made very smart mechanism, escrow accounts with the companies, so that they can't siphon off the money which they receive from the sale of sugar to something else. A government Ganna Adhikari is part of that escrow account, so that money goes to the farmers account. A lot of closed chini mills, a lot of closed sugar mills, which was closed in Mayawati's time, like Akhilesh Yadav's time, were defunct. They were started. Multiple, almost 20 plus. I have detailed in my book. The capacity of sugar mills have increased. The technical capacity of sugar mills have increased. So, in fact, the sugarcane farmers of the Western UP are one of the biggest beneficiary of the Yogi government.
Right.
Yeah, so massive work on the farmer side.
One last question that I want to ask you is, of course, there are so many tenets that we can discuss because Uttar Pradesh is such a huge state and your book has covered several of them. But unfortunately, since we are running short on time, there is a saying that whenever IAS officers are being trained, they are taken to Purvanchal and shown the ground reality, because if they're prepared to solve the issues in Purvanchal, then they'll be able to do anything in the country. So as far as that region, which was one of the most laid back regions in the country was concerned, do you see any positive changes in the last 5 years?
Oh, not any. Purvanchal has transformed, Sharan. You have to take one more session on Purvanchal. I just list a few things. And in the last 3-4 months, you have seen yourself. First, Prime Minister launched Purvanchal Expressway. It's a 341 high-speed expressway from which, if you can board from Lucknow, you will leave Gazipur within no time. Right? We used to take 10 hours. Now you will reach there in 5 to 6 hours. Right? A Gazipur Purvanchal Expressway, which is covering 9 districts of UP. Then Prime Minister goes to Gorakhpur. He launches AIMS Gorakhpur, and one AIMS treats multiple districts in the area. Right? He started a fertilizer factory there. He started a ICMR center there. Earlier, a month before, Prime Minister launched 9 medical colleges, and most of them are in eastern UP. Tomorrow, he also launched the Kushinagar Airport, which is a hub for Buddhist tourists. Right? Tomorrow is launching Kashi corridor in Banaras, which is also part of eastern UP. Massive development in Purvanchal. Purvanchal was just considered a vote bank. None of the government, all the expressways, whatever little development previous Mayawati government or Akhilesh Yadav government done is largely in Western Uttar Pradesh, because that's near to Delhi, easy to reap money, all of that, right? The Eastern Uttar Pradesh, those were their constituencies. In fact, Akhilesh Yadav is currently a member of parliament from Azamgarh, where he hardly goes. You know what is Akhilesh Yadav's attendance in parliament? 36%. When UP's average is 84%. He doesn't come to Delhi, he doesn't go to Azamgarh. I don't know where does he spend his time. Right? Maybe in London, where he's seen very often. So amazing development Purvanchal. Purvanchal has seen hospitals and expressways, medical colleges, religious tourism. Oh my God, what not? Purvanchal's per capita income is a project in itself.
Right. Shantanuji, thank you so much for joining us today for this conversation. It was an absolute eye-opener for us. And I'm sure our viewers will find it the same way. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I hope we can have this conversation in the future as well.
Thank you, Sharan. Thank you for having me. Waiting for watching.
And please do buy Shantanuji's book. It will be out very soon, and we'll put the link in the description below, and do let us know what you thought about this session.
Thank you, Sharan.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Citti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.